Socrates, the Gadfly of Athens, a humorous dive into ancient philosophy. Hey there, history buffs and philosophy fanatics. Ever wondered about that old guy who wandered around Athens, asking annoying questions and generally being a pain in the toga? That's Socrates. Get ready for a fun, educational journey into the life and mind of this legendary thinker. We'll explore his quirks, his wisdom, and why he's still relevant today. Socrates, born around 470 BCE in Athens, wasn't your typical philosopher. He wasn't born into wealth or power. His dad was a stonemason, his mom a midwife, and he himself was, shall we say, unconventionally handsome. Think snub nose, bulging eyes, not exactly a Greek god. He was a hoplite, a heavily armed soldier, and fought bravely for Athens. But unlike other intellectuals, he didn't travel the world seeking knowledge. He stayed put, annoying the locals with his relentless questioning. He was married to Xanthippe, known for her spirited personality. Let's just say their dinner conversations were probably legendary. Socrates famously compared his philosophical method to his mother's profession, midwifery. He claimed he wasn't pregnant with ideas himself, but he helped others give birth to their own. He'd ask questions, poke holes in arguments, and generally assist in the intellectual delivery process. But be warned, these intellectual bursts were often stillborn. Socrates wasn't interested in giving people the answers. He wanted them to think for themselves, even if it meant realizing their ideas were, well, not so great. Despite his humble background, Socrates hung out with some pretty influential people. Many of his admirers were wealthy and politically powerful Athenians. Even when the democratic government was briefly overthrown, Socrates stayed in Athens, unlike some of his more politically active friends. He was also known for his affections for young men. Same-sex attraction wasn't unusual in Athens, and Socrates was drawn to beautiful young men. This is vividly portrayed in Plato's dialogues like Charmides and Symposium. Socrates was a master of self-control. He could endure hardship, resist temptation, and drink wine like it was water without getting drunk. He was basically the ancient Greek version of a Stoic superhero. This self-control was closely tied to his philosophy. He believed that reason should be the ultimate guide in life. Emotions, desires, and fears should all be subject to rational thought. In Plato's Apology, Socrates famously says he doesn't fear death because he doesn't know what comes after it. He argues that fearing death is based on a pretension of knowledge. If you've thought about it rationally, you'll realize you simply don't know what to expect. This highlights a key Socratic principle. Knowledge dispels fear. Intellectual clarity leads to emotional stability. Once you understand something, your feelings will align with your beliefs. Socrates believed that virtue is a form of knowledge. If you know what's right, you'll automatically do it. He denied the possibility of weakness of will, knowingly acting against your better judgment. This means that anyone who acts unvirtuously does so because they incorrectly identify virtue. They mistake something else for true virtue. This is why Socrates was so obsessed with defining concepts like courage, piety, and justice. Socrates challenged the common Greek belief that you could possess some virtues but lack others. He argued that the virtues form a kind of unity. You can't be courageous but unjust, for example. He couldn't definitively say whether the virtues were all the same thing or just closely related, but he firmly rejected the idea that you could pick and choose your virtues like items on a menu. Socrates was famous for his ironia, often translated as irony, but it's not quite the same as modern irony. For the Greeks, ironia meant dissembling, trying to hide something. Socrates was often accused of ironia. He claimed ignorance, feigned humility, and generally act like he knew less than he actually did. Was he being sincere, or was it all an act? That's the million drachma question. Socrates' ironia could be incredibly frustrating. He'd lead people into intellectual dead ends, expose their contradictions, and generally make them feel foolish. No wonder some people resented him. He was a masked interlocutor, always hiding something behind his words. This made him fascinating and alluring, but also distrusted and suspected. Even today, we struggle to interpret his true intentions. Even when Socrates was on trial for his life, He seemed to be engaging in ironia. He claimed to be almost persuaded by his accuser's speeches, but was he being serious? It's hard to tell. His ironia may have even contributed to his conviction. If he was seen as dissembling and untrustworthy, it's no surprise that people believed he was corrupting the youth. After all, who wants their kids imitating a master of deception? The vote to convict Socrates was surprisingly close. Only 30 votes separated him from acquittal. It's possible that some jurors valued free speech more than they disliked Socrates' annoying habits. Athens was known for its tolerance of dissent, but even that tolerance had its limits. Socrates pushed those limits to the breaking point, and ultimately, he paid the price. So, why should we care about this ancient Greek gadfly? Because Socrates' questions are still relevant today. What is justice? What is courage? What is the good life? These are questions we continue to grapple with. Socrates teaches us the importance of critical thinking, self-examination, and intellectual humility. He reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong journey, not a destination, and he shows us that sometimes the most important thing you can do is ask a really annoying question. Socrates was more than just an ancient philosopher. He was a provocateur, a challenger, and a relentless seeker of truth. His life and ideas continue to inspire and challenge us today. He encourages us to question everything, to examine our beliefs, and to strive for a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. So, are you ready to embrace your inner Socrates? Here's your call to action. Leave a comment. What's one question you'd love to ask Socrates if you could travel back in time? Subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more deep dives into the fascinating world of philosophy and history. Share this video, spread the Socratic spirit, and encourage others to think critically and question everything. Check out our other videos. Explore more philosophical concepts and historical figures that shaped our world. Start a discussion. Engage with your friends, family, and classmates about the ideas presented in this video. Let's keep the conversation going.